OpenAI GPT-5 prompt tutorial for beginners. Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through step-by-step on how you can create the best prompts for GPT-5. Now, we all know GPT-5 is a powerful tool, but here's the thing. Unless we give it the right prompt, we won't get the best results out of it. That's why today I'll be breaking down the anatomy of a GPT-5 prompt and showing you exactly how to structure one. So OpenAI actually has a complete guide on prompt building, and it highlights a few key elements that you need to keep in mind every time you're writing a prompt. These are the role, the task, the context, the reasoning, the output format, and the stop conditions. And trust me, these are super important because each one of them plays a different part in shaping how GPT-5 responds. Let's start with the role. The role is basically what you want GPT-5 to act as, whether it's a teacher, a coder, a marketer, or even a personal assistant. Giving GPT-5 a clear role makes a huge difference because it sets the tone of the entire response. Next comes the task. This is where you need to be very clear and specific about what you want. Don't just say, "Help me with coding." Instead, say something like, "Write a Python function that sorts a list of numbers in ascending order." The clearer you are, the better the results will be. Then we have context. This is all about giving GPT-5 the background information it needs. For example, if you're asking it to write a blog, tell it who your audience is, what the topic is about, and what style you prefer. This way, GPT-5 knows exactly how to frame the answer. After that comes reasoning. You want to encourage GPT-5 to actually think through the problem. A good way to do this is by asking it to explain its steps or justify its choices. This helps make the responses more accurate and reliable. Another important part is the output format. Always tell GPT-5 what structure you want for the response. Do you want bullet points, a detailed explanation, or maybe even a script like this one? Defining the format saves you a lot of time editing later. And finally, stop conditions. These are signals that tell GPT-5 when to stop generating content. This is useful if you want shorter, more focused responses rather than endless text. Now, here's the interesting part. If you're working with coding prompts, there are even more things you can define, like frameworks, styling, icons, animations, and fonts. By setting these up front, you can get results that fit perfectly into your project without much tweaking. So when you combine all of these, role, task, context, reasoning, output format, and stop conditions, you're basically steering GPT-5 in the exact direction you want. That's how you get precise, high-quality responses instead of random outputs. And remember, with GPT-5, you also have more control through things like steering and veracity, which give you direct influence over the flow of the conversation and the accuracy of the responses. So if you really want to unlock the full potential of GPT-5, start building your prompts with these elements in mind, and you'll see a massive improvement in the kind of answers you get. So here's the key. When you're building a prompt, you need to give GPT-5 everything it needs to perform well. That means including all of the background details, not just the main question. The more clarity and context you provide, the better the response will be. Now, the next element is reasoning. This is super important. You don't just want GPT-5 to spit out an answer, you want it to actually think through the problem. A great way to do this is by asking it to explain its reasoning or follow a logical chain of thought before it gives the final answer. This way you can be sure that what you're getting is accurate, instead of something it's just making up or hallucinating. After that comes the output format. This is where you need to be very specific about how you want the answer presented to you. Do you want bullet points, numbered steps, maybe a table, or even full narrative-style paragraphs? Telling GPT-5 the format up front will save you a lot of time later on and give you exactly what you're looking for. So let's actually put this into action. Let's jump right into GPT-5 and build a prompt together. The very first step is to define the role. In this case, I want GPT-5 to act as a personal productivity coach. And not just any coach, I want it to focus specifically on recommending lesser-known but highly effective learning methods. Once I've set the role, I move on to the task. Now, this isn't the final prompt yet, it's just me outlining exactly what I want GPT-5 to do. My task here is to create a concise checklist, somewhere between 3 to 7 bullet points with steps I can actually follow. I want it to focus on conceptual planning, and specifically, I want it to identify the top 3 medium commitment learning methods that are both practical and impactful. And here's something I want to point out. You don't have to stress about little typos in your prompt. GPT-5 is very good at recognizing what you mean, even if you make minor spelling mistakes. So don't let that slow you down. Now we've covered role and task, so let's move on to context. This is where you really make your prompt strong. For my example, I want to prioritize accuracy and highlight what makes each learning method truly outstanding. That becomes my context line. So I would write something like, prioritize accuracy and highlight what makes each method an excellent choice. And just like that, we've got 3 elements in place: role, task, and context. Next up is reasoning. This is where I make sure GPT-5 doesn't just give me a random list of learning methods it pulls from the internet. Instead, I want it to internally vet all of the methods, double-check that they are real, underused, and meet my criteria. I'll even tell it to argue or debate with me a little, explaining why these specific methods stand out from the rest. That way, I know the suggestions are thoughtful, not just generic. And here's a neat trick. You can literally copy and paste a line like this into your own prompts. Internally vet all methods to ensure they are real, underused, and meet all parameters before responding. And instead of methods, you can just swap in whatever it is you're researching, like strategies, tools, platforms, or anything else. And now we come to the last 2 elements, which are your output format and your stop conditions. A lot of people tend to overlook stop conditions, but honestly, they're just as important as the rest. Why? Because they keep everything consistent and prevent GPT-5 from going off track or giving you more than what you actually need. For example, a stop condition could look like this. The task is complete when 3 verified medium commitment methods are returned, excluding overly common approaches, and validation confirms full compliance with the requirements. That's a clear stop cue, and it tells GPT-5 exactly when to stop generating. Now, let's talk about output format. This is completely up to you and depends on how you want to see the results. Personally, I'm not going to specify a strict format in this example, but you definitely can. For instance, you might want your output to include a method name, recommended resources, weekly time commitment, estimated progress, and then a short summary. Structuring it like this helps GPT-5 deliver answers in a way that's super easy to understand and immediately usable. Once that's done, you're ready to run the prompt. On the top left of my screen, you'll notice I've selected GPT-5, not the fast or thinking options. You can click skip for a quicker answer if you really want speed, but I honestly don't recommend it. The whole point of using GPT-5 is to get accurate, detailed, and high-quality results. Letting it take a little extra time to think means you'll get a much more focused response. So I'll go ahead and let GPT-5 process the prompt. After a few seconds, here's the result it generated for me. It actually structured it like a mini game plan, first laying out the plan itself, and then walking me through the specific methods. So here's what GPT-5 gave me back. It created a mini game plan, which basically serves as my conceptual task list for effective learning. Then it outlined the top 3 medium commitment methods for understanding and retaining knowledge. These include successive relearning, pre-testing with errorful generation, and example problem pairs with self-explanations. What's really helpful is that GPT-5 didn't just give me the names of these methods, it also explained how each one can be deployed and provided a quick guide on how to get started with them. This makes it super practical because I can immediately see how to apply these techniques in my own learning process. From here, I could even follow up with GPT-5 by asking additional questions, like how to implement these strategies step by step, or how to combine them into a daily routine. And that's the real power of building your prompts the right way. You don't just get generic answers, you get customized, actionable insights. So just to recap, the 6 core elements of a strong GPT-5 prompt are role, task, context, reasoning, output format, and stop conditions. Once you include these in your prompt, you'll start seeing responses that are not only accurate, but also perfectly aligned with what you're looking for. That's all for the video. I hope you found this walkthrough helpful and that you're now ready to start building better prompts with GPT-5. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you in the next one.